Greetings, Corpse Clubbers, and welcome to another episode of Corpse Club Horror BFFs. I am one of your Horror BFFs, Patrick Bromley, joined as always by my Horror BFF for this very special October Halloween episode, the managing editor of DailyDead.com and producer, that's right, producer of In Search of Darkness, Heather Wixson. Hi, Heather.
Hey, that's weird. But yes, hello.
You just keep adding credits. Author of The Monster Squad, producer of In Search of Darkness. You're going full EGOT.
EGOT, yes, that's exactly. My slow and steady 12-year plan for world domination is going well. Thank you very much.
It's working.
It's getting there. So, it's only taken me a dozen years, but I'm living proof, kids, that if you stick to it, live in poverty, and basically do nothing but work, in 12 years, you will find success.
It's a beautiful message.
It is. I'm
just
kidding.
One that America needs right now.
I mean, it's pretty much par for the course, I think, at this point, right? So, yeah, it's really cool. We had our world premiere this past weekend at Beyond Fest, and it was pretty cool. Really weird, but pretty cool because I'm also in the documentary, which is actually how it all started. And so I was originally just supposed to be sort of a talking head. Like I was coming in to give good filler. As Caroline Williams says, I give good doc. So that's going to be on my resume / headstone. And basically it evolved into being a producer, which is pretty awesome. So it's great. I'm really proud of what we were able to put together. It's over 4 hours. It is a monster documentary. I'm sure somewhere Crystal Lake Memories is sitting around laughing at us like, oh, you're 4 hours.
You did 4 hours on a decade. We did 6 hours on one franchise.
Right. But we'll get there. It gives us a bar we have to raise a bar
deleted
for sci-fi,
scenes.
I guess.
Yeah, so absolutely.
But yeah, no, it was pretty amazing to be at the Egyptian of all places for something that I worked on and was a part of. It was very different to go to a movie and not be there as press. I will say,
yeah, right.
It's very strange.
That's very cool, though, to see yourself projected at the Egyptian theater on the massive screen.
Indeed. And it's something that I could probably share with my mom, and she might actually be proud. So it's just been actually a 12-year search to just get my mom's approval of my career. So, I'm almost there. I'm almost there after all these years.
This episode of Horror BFFs, actually a backdoor therapy session.
Yes, for all of my insecurities. So. But I will say, because I know you're in the process of watching it now, my favorite part was when I got to talk about Zelda in Pet Sematary.
I'm not there yet.
I know, spoiler alert, but I did that just for my Horror BFF.
Thank you.
Because I was like, somebody's got to talk about Zelda. And if somebody's going to do it, it's going to be me. So there you go.
Can you plug the Blu-ray of it really quick in case our listeners want to purchase this fine film?
Oh, yes. So right now you can pre-order it over at 80shorrordoc.com. And with it, you get either Blu-ray or DVD. There will be some special features on the disc as well. You also get a poster, a pin, a postcard, and you will also get a digital file as well. So that way you can run around and watch the documentary as much as you want as well. But yeah, I think it clocks in at like I forget how many minutes it is. 280 minutes, I think.
240 something. 258.
Okay, that's what it is. It's 258, and then with special features, it'll be like 280.
Holy cow.
Actually, no, it's got to be more than that because we did a 90-minute discussion. Anyway, I'm terrible at math, so don't listen to me on the math. But yeah, there's a lot of really fantastic people in it. You've got like Tom Atkins, John Carpenter, Don Mancini, Greg Nicotero, Heather Langenkamp, the amazing Barbara Crampton, the also amazing Caroline Williams. It is also the last interview I think that Larry Cohen did before he had passed away.
Oh, wow.
It is, yeah. And he was just perfectly Larry Cohen during that discussion. But yeah, and we've got like Alex Winters in there. It's a lot of fun. And I think it's got a lot of good stuff in there for horror fans who are either well-versed in 80s horror or maybe aren't as well-versed in 80s horror. It's a good primer, and I guarantee when you're done, you're going to have a list of things where you're like, oh, I got to rewatch this. I got to rewatch this. Or you've got to watch this for the first time. So,
right.
But yeah, it was one of those where I was like, we were watching it, and like last night I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch Poltergeist.
Nice.
So I was like, we're going to watch Poltergeist. And I think tonight we might dive into Texas Chainsaw 2, just because we show a lot of love to Toby, which, I think is something you appreciate as well.
Very much so.
So there's me just plugging away and doing my business.
Well, congratulations again on all the success. It looked like the premiere was a huge hit. I'm only 2.5 hours into the documentary, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it, and I look forward to finishing it.
Awesome. Well, I hope you make it through the finish line. It is daunting. It was one of those, like, when we did the premiere, we had to basically build an intermission into it, because it's a monster of a documentary.
Yeah. Well, I only stopped watching last night because I was watching it. I had a screener, and so I hooked my computer up to my TV so I could watch it through the TV, but my battery died, which is the only reason I had the movie is so long that it ran the battery out of my computer.
We will call it the battery killer.
That's the only reason I didn't finish it last night, because I had to recharge the battery on my MacBook.
Wow. Well, I feel good. At least I wasn't like, screw this documentary. So
no,
I feel better about that now.
Well, it is October. Happy October. How is your month going so far?
It was funny. So I ran into somebody and they were like, oh, how you doing? How you surviving October? And I was like, I have 2 words. I'm like, F October. I was like, because that's where I'm at this point. I don't know. I'm like 20 something articles into the month already. It's been good. I've had to work while I'm watching stuff this year, but I'm not making, like, I'm not going to be like, last year I just kind of was working and be like, I'll watch something after. And I think I smartened up this year and realized, no, you're just going to be working the entire month. So you might as well put on fun movies.
Yeah.
And make the best of it. But it's actually been really good. I've been able to introduce Brian to like a bunch of cool new things for him that he's never seen. It's fun that we're doing this little double feature thing today for our episode, because we've been doing a lot of double features, and I've gotten to introduce him to, so far he's discovered Sorority Row, and I was like, great, now you can listen to our episode on it. And he really liked that. I got to introduce him to The Hidden.
Nice.
Which he loved. And he was like, how have I never seen this movie before? And I was like, I do not know. I was like, Michael Nouri is very disappointed in you right now. And then he also discovered The Changeling.
I still have never seen The Changeling, but it is on my...
Wait, what?
I've never seen it. I bought it a year ago at Flashback. Was going to watch it last October. That month got away from me. And so it's on my list to watch this October. I think this weekend, Erica and I are going to try to do 24 Hours. And it's on our list to watch. Movie watching for 24 hours. And it's on our list to watch during those 24 hours.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I sometimes I'm not sure like what's going to hit with him, but I was like, I feel like this one's really going to click. And when I finished, I was like, and he's like, oh my God, that was so good. Like, he was totally enraptured the whole time. And like, that made me so happy. So there's been a lot of good film discovery on his side this year. There's a few things I want to check out. I finally want to take time to watch, I think it's Knife and Heart.
It is on Shudder. I have not watched that yet either.
No, that's on my list for this month. I finally, after a year, want to catch up with One Cut of the Dead, because everybody was talking about it last year at Fantastic Fest, and I still haven't had a chance to watch it. I read your really great review for The Furies, so I really want to see that. So Shudder is going to be helping me out a little bit for the rest of the month, to kind of fill in some of my gaps. But yeah, I've actually been able to watch stuff this month. Like yesterday, he was cleaning and I was doing all this publicity work and stuff like that. And we just like kind of threw on a bunch of Halloweens because I think it was because of Tom Atkins.
Nice.
Talking about like Halloween movies. And I put on one while he was running errands and I was just cleaning around the house. So when he got home, he's like, so do we just put on 3? Which is no slight to 2, but we sleep with 2 on. So we see 2, 2 is kind of in our subconscious all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, do we just put on 3? And we went like 3 through 6 while he was doing stuff and I was working. So I was like, it's October. I'm loving it. We're actually getting to watch stuff. So it's a nice change of pace for us.
How did 5 play?
I still like 5. I don't know. Like I still watch 5. Like I know people have issues with it and it's definitely weird. But it's not Michael sleeping with his niece weird. Right. So there's that. There is that. I think the weirdest thing about it is like that crazy like clown music with the cops, But yeah, I have a soft spot for 5. I know it's not one of the stronger ones in the series. And it definitely pales in comparison to 4. It kind of has the unenviable task of following up 4, which was directed by who again?
I'm trying to remember the name of that. Oh yeah, I remember Dwight H. Little, You My Boy.
Yes. So, it's its own thing, but honestly, like, I can't, even when they're bad sequels, I still watch them, especially in the Halloween series. Like, I'm sorry, but like, if Halloween Resurrection's on TV, like, I'm probably just going to leave it on because I roll with Dangertainment. That's just me. I weirdly,
in October especially, watch the sequels way more than I watch the original. Like if I'm going to
the original it demands your attention.
Right.
You know what I mean? And kind of like we were talking about like the Friday the 13th movies where you kind of plug those on and just do whatever. Like that's kind of like the Halloween sequels. But Halloween, when the original comes on, you stop what you're doing.
Right.
And you're just like, you get sucked into it.
It's not really like background noise, which is why I watch it way fewer times than the original, or than the sequels rather.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Plus, it's one of those movies that I like to keep preserved for watching in October, like for around actual Halloween.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like when you finally settle down on Christmas Day and you sit and you put on like It's a Wonderful Life or something like that. Like, there's tons of Christmas movies, but there's certain ones like you just preserve for like those moments, or at least I do, because I'm weird when it comes to movies and holidays.
Yeah. So this week for the show, we were thinking about doing double features because, as you said, you've been watching a lot of double features this month. I've been watching some double features. I'm gearing up to watch 24 hours consecutively, so it's fun to pair movies up during October. So we were thinking one of us would name a movie and the other one would assign it a second movie to pair as its double feature. So this is an idea that, it's similar to something I've done with Adam Risky on If This Movie. It's similar to something that they do on Pure Cinema, like pairing movies up. So I can't take credit for the idea, but I thought it would be a fun way to for us to create
So you invented the double feature is what you're saying.
First I invented movies. And then I thought the only thing better than a movie is 2 movies.
Exactly.
Except I call them pictures.
I call them the talkies.
The only thing better than 1 talkie is 2 talkies, see?
Yes.
So I thought it would be a fun way for us to create some double features on the spot. So would you like to go first or do you want me to go first?
You can go first. Let's see how this goes. If it just totally fails miserably or wonderfully, we'll see how this rolls.
All right, let's see what happens. So for my first movie, we're going to show The Monster Squad from 1987, a beloved classic to all of us kids who grew up in the 1980s. I haven't gotten to 87 yet in your documentary, but I'm assuming it shows the Monster Squad some love because, of course, Andre Gower is one of the talking heads in the documentary.
Oh, yes. And also Tom Woodruff Jr. is in there as well.
That's right.
Wow. So I feel like, of course, there's part of me is like, well, the obvious tries to be like something like Lost Boys because it's kids battling vampires, whatever. I feel like I For me, I think I would have to go with. I don't know if I want to go. Do I want to go? All right. Wow. I'm totally screwing this up.
No, you're not.
I feel like, I'm going to be weird, and I think I'm going to go with Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Okay.
Just because I feel like Monster Squad is something that always gets paired with something that feels very 80s-esque. And for me, one of my favorite, I know I'd seen it as a kid, but I didn't really remember it that well. But when I rewatched that last year, I loved it so much. And it's a movie that I think has aged incredibly well, considering the fact that it's like 70 years old now.
Yeah.
It's collecting benefits, I think, at this point. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein meet Frankenstein.
Right.
It's not meets. I don't want to upset the internet by saying that meets Frankenstein. But I think there's a charming quality to that movie that also you find in the Monster Squad. Maybe Abbott and Costello were the original Monster Squad and they just didn't know it.
They kind of were. And I want to say Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein was a very clear inspiration on the Monster Squad because, the screenplay by Fred Decker and Shane Black does the same thing that Abbott and Costello does, which is it allows the characters to be funny, and the movie itself is funny, but it treats the monsters seriously.
Yes.
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and the Monster Squad never turn the monsters into a joke. And that's part of what makes it, makes each of them such great horror comedies, is that for as much as they are funny, they treat the monsters very seriously. So I think those movies pair together very well.
Thank you. I'm a genius is what you're saying. I appreciate that.
I've been saying it.
Yeah, let's get that on a t-shirt. Heather Wixson is a genius. So
right under you give good doc.
I give good doc.
If Caroline Williams ever said anything about me, I would put it on a t-shirt.
Oh, but she does. Like, I just told you how she never. Yes, that was a different discussion. But yes, she has said very nice things about you over the years. So we'll go ahead and just inflate your ego a little bit too while we're here. Basically, guys, you're all just listening as we just say nice things about each other.
We said it was
hour.
Therapy. Okay, we need this, people. We need this.
It's Halloween therapy for us. God damn it, it's been a year, okay? It's been a rough year. Let us have this. Okay, so my first movie I'm going to choose for you is I am going to go with Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, heavens. Okay.
Oh, well, who used to say heavens to Murgatroyd? Was that...
like a cat? He was
yeah, he was like a...
Top cat? No.
No, it wasn't. It was because he was like part of the Yogi Berra universe, right?
It was Snagglepuss?
Yes, heavens to Murgatroyd.
This has been the Hanna-Barbera Hour, and thanks
bringing
for
back all those really big references that the younger audience are gonna be like, who the hell are they talking about?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'm going to pair with Critters 2.
Nice.
Because I like Critters 2 better than Critters 1. I could go with another clown-themed horror, but basically it's either It or Stitches or that Victor Salva movie that none of us are ever going to touch. And so instead I'll go with a different movie about creatures from outer space that come down. Very much a horror comedy. And Critters 2, I think, has much better gags than the first Critters.
And also both are Kyoto brothers.
That's right. Ooh, thank you. See, this is what happens when you're talking to the author of The Monster Squad. Volumes 1, 2, probably 3.
I don't know. We'll see how that goes. There may be some news coming out about that this month.
You don't
say. How it goes.
See, we're all about the scoops here on Horror BFFs.
Double scoops.
Double scoops. That means we need a second scoop.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know. I've only got the one scoop for now, but yes, there might be some news on that.
Well, I'm excited for that news. And I'm excited for Volume 2 of The Monster Squad. And I'm excited to watch Critters 2 with Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I agree with you, though. I like the first Critters, but I think there's a lot more fun to be had in Critters 2.
Yes.
And I don't say this slightly, but I actually think it's it probably is I like The Stand a lot. But I think Critters 2 is my favorite Mick Garris movie.
Interesting. Mine might still be Sleepwalkers.
I need to rewatch Sleepwalkers because I remember the first time seeing it and being like, oh, okay. Like, I was like, huh, all right, well, there you go. Yeah, that one, maybe because I saw it in high school, it just didn't quite hit me the right way. But I do need to see Sleepwalkers. I know it's got a camp of fans out there who really dig it, so I should give it another try. But for me, I like Critters too, but I'm a horror comedy person, so... but I do like that you picked Critters too. I think that's a good choice.
Thank you. Yeah, I think those movies would actually play pretty well together. Now that I think about it.
See, you didn't even know how genius this was going to be.
No, I had no idea. All right, let me see if I've got one for you. How about the original Friday the 13th?
Ooh, I think for that one, I mean, it feels easy to say The Burning, but I'm probably going to say The Burning.
I like it.
Because that was also Tom Savini as well, wasn't it? Who did the kills in The
Burning?
Burning?
Sure was.
Look at that. We're making all sorts of connections. But obviously there's the slasher elements. It's got some really good kills. It's got some really good performances in it. I discovered it a few years ago because of the Blu-ray. Was that Scream Factory?
Yes, it was.
I thought as much. I'm not in front of my tower right now, so I'm pretty sure that was Scream Factory. I'd seen part of it when I was a kid. But in the back of my mind, I'd actually thought it was a Friday the 13th movie. It was like one of those things where it was like part of it got like taped on a tape and then it went into like another movie. And I was like, oh, was that a Friday the 13th? I was a dumb kid, whatever. But yeah, I think The Burning is one of those slashers that doesn't nearly get talked about enough. I mean, I know again, it's all horror movies sort of have their core fans who will always champion it. I think when we talk about slashers, it's so easy to fall into the Friday the 13th. Sleepaway Camp has become a lot bigger amongst fans over the years for good reason, because it's awesome. But I think for me, The Burning fits really well with it because, I mean, it's got some really great kills in it. You've got Jason Alexander, who's, kind of young in it as well. And it's weird he has hair, so that's cool. Good for you, Jason Alexander. But yeah, it's one of those that I watched in October. That was one I managed to watch last year. And I'm going to make time for it again this year. So I think The Burning would be my choice.
It's a really good slasher movie. Again, summer camp themed, much like Friday the 13th, and has, a semi-iconic killer with Cropsey. I'm kind of surprised we never had any Burning sequels.
Yeah, it's like you have a really good, memorable killer coming out in an era where you can make when you can make slasher movies on the cheap. Like, we should have 4 at least of those movies to look back on at this point, and I'm not sure why that didn't happen. So, all right, I think for you, I'm gonna throw you a curveball. Hopefully you've seen this. You've probably seen this because you're you. But Street Trash.
Okay. Street Trash, I am going to pair with Chud.
Ah, nice.
Because both films are sort of early 80s New York, back when New York was all sleazy and gross and dirty. Both films are about horrors that plague the homeless. In Street Trash, the homeless are victimized by some kind of alcohol that melts them, right?
Yes.
And in Chud, they're, of course, turned into cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers by toxic waste. So they're both very much of the early 80s New York. Both are very much about homelessness. I'm not the world's biggest Street Trash fan, although I admire the colors and I admire the practical effects. It's probably a movie I need to revisit.
Well, you know where you can do that?
Where's that?
That would be on Shudder, if I'm not mistaken.
You could very well be correct. I own the Blu-ray, so I could probably just rewatch it that way.
Oh, see, you're better than I am. I rewatched it on Shudder a couple months ago.
And how was it?
It's fine. It was funny because like when I first, because I'm tying into what all this book stuff that I've been doing. But when I went to interview Jennifer Aspinall, who did the effects on Street Trash, it wasn't out there yet. So it was one of those movies you had to kind of find on YouTube. Okay. Which is what I did. And I was like, oh, that was pretty fun because I never saw it as a kid. And I liked it more the second time than I did the first time. But yeah, those effects are pretty crazy. And I think she had like $500 or something ridiculous to make that movie happen. But she did it. But yeah, that's what I love because it's interesting. There's been sort of this discussion of like movies making the leap from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. And I'm like, I don't remember Street Trash getting a DVD ever. But somehow it's found its way back into the fold. So it gives me hope that something like maybe Spookies will eventually make its way to Blu-ray. Maybe one of these days.
I just watched Spookies for the first time.
What a cluster of a movie, right?
There's like six directors on it, right?
Yeah, it has everything you could possibly want. Like it's like
monsters
every type
who
of
fart.
Yeah, of course, but like there's crazy spiders, there's the muck monsters, there's like vampire monsters. It's everything. It's literally everything in one movie. But yeah, it's weird. The rumor is that apparently it really was a haunted house. And a lot of weird shit happened on that set. And I guess like a little kid died on that property that they shot on and stuff. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Not during the movie, but back and like somehow like the kid haunted them or whatever like that. But yeah, it's one of those where I'm like, if Street Trash is finally making its way back, like maybe Spookies one of these days will get all of those rights figured out. I think there's 4 directors. And I think the producers, there's like a couple of them are gone now. And like, I think there's maybe one producer left who's still alive. I don't know. It's such a weird story. But I'd like to see Spookies make it to Blu-ray. It's certainly an experience that I think everybody should at least have the chance to get to see for themselves. Yeah. I don't know that you'll love it, but it definitely is something you should experience.
Well, and I watched it on YouTube, which I'm not necessarily advising, and it was a decent looking version, but it's right. And I still feel like I would have liked it more if I was seeing it, less dark and pixelated. So it was hard to make out what was happening sometimes. Exactly. Come on, YouTube. Put your illegal movies up in higher quality. I can confirm that Street Trash is on Shudder. I don't know if that counts as our second scoop.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it does.
It seems like that's information that's out there for the public whenever they want it. So maybe that's not what constitutes a scoop.
I guess.
All right. You ready for your next movie?
I am.
All right. How about a movie that I don't think you like all that much, or maybe just don't love? It Follows.
Yeah. I don't love It Follows.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But all right. Oh, this one's gonna stump me. We got a stumper. What would I pair with It Follows? What even was that movie about? Huh.
People having sex with each other and then being followed by some sort of unseen force.
Oh, yes. We're so clever and allegorical. That's right.
Wow.
I know. I'm such a jerk. Yeah, I do. Let's see. I'm trying to think of something good and contemporary that would go with. What would be a good? I feel like maybe it's a totally different kind of movie. But I think it's a little more of a satisfying movie. I feel like I'd pair that with Raw. The Julia Ducournau, totally butchering her name, and I apologize, Julia. But the vegan cannibal movie that came out a few years ago. Because it's sort of a similar kind of coming to terms with your sexuality, but also your identity. Really awesome effects, really fantastic performances, a good bit of dark comedy to it, kind of coursing through sort of that top layer of seriousness. Like there's a little wink and a nod going on there, but it's nothing too distracting or anything that sort of affects the movie tonally. So yeah, I think I would go with Raw, because after it follows, I'd be like, I need something that I like. I'm such a jerk, I know. So yeah, I feel like, I would probably go with Raw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think, I think those would go well. All right, let me see if I can throw you a curveball. I don't know. You like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what you don't like. Just so I can get back at you.
I wasn't trying to ruin
I
it
know
for
what you
you.
were trying. I know what you're trying. Throwing me right under the It Follows bus.
No, not at all. Just trying to pick something more contemporary.
Let me see. What am I? Well, let's go with one from this year. What would you pair with Us?
Oh, boy. What
You
would
can't
I
say
pair
Chud because you already did that.
with Us? What would I pair with Us? Wow. Yeah, that's a tough one.
I have a good idea, but...
Yeah, I may just defer to you because I can't necessarily think of a good... I mean, I'm trying to think of... my gut says that I'd want to pair it with something from George Romero, because it seems to be a very sort of Romero-esque horror movie in terms of just how political and allegorical it is. So just for the sake of pairing it with something from Romero, I'm going to go with The Crazies. And I think... Oh,
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, the movies have very different energies, and they're not about the same things. But I kind of would want that. I don't necessarily know that I want both movies just being about class and both movies being about certain stratas. So, yeah, I'm going to go with The Crazies.
I take it. See, I would have been like a basic ass bitch and gone with like The Lost Boys.
Okay.
Because
remind me
there's
why
all the
that's...
Lost Boys. Because of all the Lost Boys references in the movie.
I don't remember any Lost Boys references in the movie. But
wait, are you kidding me right now?
I don't remember. I saw the movie back in March when it came out, and I haven't seen it since, so I don't remember.
Oh, because like basically it's when it opens, they're in Santa Cruz, and like they're talking about this movie that's being shot at the pier.
Okay. I remember the
Lost
opening
Boys.
being like a flashback, but I don't remember it talking about Lost Boys.
Yeah, and so it's basically they're referencing the fact that Lost Boys is being shot at the opening of Us, and then there's also there's another Corey Feldman reference that they mention, and I'm totally blanking on it right now. But then also when they're eating, it's Copper Pots. It's Captain Copper Pots that they're eating at when they're eating food at the table.
That's
so there's
a
bunch
Goonies
of little
reference, isn't it?
Yeah, but Corey Feldman's in Goonies. So there's like a bunch of little Corey Feldman things running through
Got
there.
it. And Corey Feldman played the lead.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoot, wait, I'm sorry. I accidentally watched Dream a Little Dream and thought it was Us. My apologies.
Nobody ever accidentally watches Dream a Little Dream. You just watch Dream a Little Dream.
That's right.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Damn right.
All right, so you're next. Okay. Let me see. How about Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ooh. Let's see. Dreamy monster that's being hunted by bad scientists.
I feel like you're misreading Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well, no, he's like, it's not his fault.
No, you're right. It's not.
That they're
He does
coming
kidnap
into his
a woman.
water. Yeah, but he was there first.
All right.
Like, you know, if they wouldn't have come looking for him and been all up in his business, like, you know, none of that would have happened. Like, that's not his fault. He's just the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's just doing creature things.
Creature got a creature.
Exactly. I mean, the obvious is like saying something like Shape of Water, but that doesn't really fit for Halloween.
Okay.
Misunderstood creatures. You know, is it weird to say something like Toxic Avenger?
Not at all.
He's a hit with the ladies.
Yes.
Ladies love Toxie. He's misunderstood by society.
Yeah.
Dealing with a bunch of jerks.
Right.
Both
movies feature graphic head crushings.
Yes, of course. I mean, who can forget the graphic head crushings of Creature from the Black Lagoon?
Traumatized me as a kid.
Yes. Or did it traumatize
Traumatized me as a kid. Oh, boy.
But yeah, I mean, it feels like obvious to go with something from Universal Monsters, but like, you know, let's go Toxic Avenger. I haven't watched it in probably 15 years, so why not?
I definitely watched it within the last 6 months, and it holds up. All
right. Well, that is good to know. What's crazy about that movie is I remember the first time I rented it, I was in junior high, and me and my cousin Jeffrey rented it, and his sister Lisa, who's really like uptight and super churchy. So we're watching this movie, and there's the scene with the dog in it.
Yeah.
And she freaked out and basically went and narked on us to her dad and said that we were watching like movies like she called it like a snuff film because she thought the dog really gets killed. And I was like, first of all, like there's nothing realistic about anything in that movie.
Yeah.
Least of all that scene. And like we basically had to turn it off. So we Jeffrey and I made a pact because we had to return it the next day at the video store. And so we made a pact at like 3 a.m. We woke up. He ran upstairs to pull out the tape because my uncle like confiscated it. So he grabbed it and we finished it like with like the volume was on like 3 on the TV. And we were literally like sitting next to the TV so we could just finish Toxic Avenger. So take that, churchies.
You showed them.
I didn't I? So my movie would be, I think, a movie that you very much enjoy. And I'd like to see what you'd pair it with, which would be Beyond the Gates. I feel like it would be a fun one for Halloween.
That would be a fun one for Halloween. Beyond the Gates. Let's see. I feel like I want to pair it with something Italian, but that's probably too literal, because that's where the title is kind of drawn from. So I'm going to go with a gut feeling, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. And there's no real connections. There aren't any real connections. Just a tonal thing, a use of color, and a kind of a vibe. And part of that is just from knowing, I think, where Jackson Stewart originally wanted to go. He was working on a sequel for a while, and originally Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was a big inspiration for where he wanted to go with the sequel. I don't know where that sequel is at anymore. I don't know if that sequel is still happening. But I know
I would love a sequel. We should have at least another movie.
I'm with you. I would be all for that. I'm not real sure.
Can we do something about this?
We make some calls. You're a producer now, so you need to be on this.
All right. I'm making calls right now. See you later.
All right. This was a fun podcast.
It was great. So talk to you later. We're going to make Beyond the Gates 2.
So since we don't have a Beyond the Gates 2 right now, I'm going to go with the movie that was going to influence its sequel, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Love it. I mean, like, how do I not love Nightmare 4?
Honestly, watching, maybe it was during the talk about the original Nightmare on Elm Street in the 80s documentary, In Search of Darkness. They showed a clip of Freddy's Dead. And I've never hated Freddy's Dead more than when I saw just the Freddy makeup in Freddy's Dead in this one little clip. I was like, oh, I've never disliked this movie more than getting a glimpse of cartoon Freddy in this movie.
You know, it sucks because, like, everybody always hates on the makeup from New Nightmare.
I don't mind the makeup in New Nightmare.
I don't mind it either, because for me it makes sense that he would look the way that he does, because he is. Oops, sorry, somebody just woke up from his nap. Utah, stop! It's okay.
He heard New Nightmare mentioned. He wanted to jump in.
He's like, oh God, yes. But for me, like, it's Evil's interpretation of what Freddy Krueger would look like. So of course he's slicker, and of course it's a totally different demonic-y look to it. Utah, please, we're recording. It's okay. And because I went back and rewatched Freddy's Dead recently. Oh boy, I wish I liked that one more. And again, I know it's got its fans, and I don't want to be dismissive to anybody, but that movie is a lot. And it's like, and it just doesn't get any better once you get to that finale. And they're like, you know how we're going to beat Freddy? With 3D glasses. The
best part of the movie is like the greatest hits montage at the end.
Yes. Like, if the whole movie had been that, amazing.
Right.
Somebody else on Twitter pointed this out, and I totally agree with them, that if the movie had been more about the weird town and not having kids anymore, because there's some really great, weird Larry Cohen-esque vibes that are going on.
Right.
During those scenes. Like, those scenes really feel like they would fit well with, like, a Return to Salem's Lot in terms of, like, their tone and their very sort of offbeat nature. If they would have done that for the whole movie, I think that movie would have been amazing. Yeah. But boy, it gives us Witch Freddy, which is great.
No.
But
Witch Freddy is not great.
Yeah. It just feels like they just were like, we're not going to spend any sort of money on this movie. Yeah. And it's a bummer when you look at the things that they were doing in, like, you know, the first one was made for nothing. The second one, like 2 through 5, they're just going bananas with effects. And then, you know, Freddy's Dead just feels like an afterthought to me in terms of its budget, its scope,
right.
And Freddy himself. It's a bummer, but yeah.
Not a fan.
I like how we started out talking about Dream Master and ended up on Freddy's Dead.
I'm not even the world's biggest Dream Master fan, honestly. Like, if you gave me a choice, I'd probably watch 5 before Dream Master.
Well, because you're a weirdo.
I am a weirdo, but I think 5 has some new ideas, and I think 4 is kind of a decent retread of 3.
Yeah, I like 5 more now as an adult than I did as a kid. That's for sure.
Yeah, me too.
And I think a lot of that comes from Lisa Wilcox in it, and I think also, obviously, you know, we get some really good, cool versions of Freddy in that movie as well. That have since become iconic, but there's nothing iconic about Freddy's Dead. Other than the witch part, and that's the one where he's got the power glove too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Nintendo Freddy.
So there you go. That's literally your 2 iconic moments. Whereas in other ones, it's like your giant Freddy worms. You've got you got Freddy, Super Freddy,
Chef Freddy.
Chef Freddy is so good too.
Yeah.
So it just, boy, shame on you, Freddy's Dead. Shame on you.
All right. Triple feature.
Oh, now you're throwing triple features?
I'm not really. I'm going to throw 3 movies in front of you, and I'm going to ask you which one you're going to watch of the 3. Freddy's Dead, Friday the 13th, 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, Halloween Resurrection. Which one do you reach for?
Halloween Resurrection.
Not even a hesitation.
Dangertainment. Look, I know that movie does Laurie Strode dirty, but it doesn't even matter anymore because now we have a new franchise. So it literally doesn't even matter that she becomes an afterthought in that movie. If you take away that beginning and just go to all the other stuff, it literally does not matter that Laurie Strode gets thrown off a top of a mental hospital. It doesn't even matter. It's so rough around its edges. And it
feels unfinished.
It does at times, but then it was doing things ahead of the curve in a lot of ways with technology and sort of interactive television, that I can't completely hate it. I don't need Tyra Banks in that movie whatsoever, but I will say that Freddie, Busta Rhymes' character, has really kind of grown on me over the years. Like, I think there's some really funny things, like when he's going around trying to screw with those kids in the house, but then real Michael Myers is there, and then he's shit talking real Michael Myers. It's like, why are you here? You're not supposed to be in here. I'm doing this. You go. I'm going to be Michael Myers. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. It just puts a smile on my face. Do I think it's one of the better Halloween sequels? Of course not. But again, it does not have Michael Myers impregnating his niece.
This might be our second scoop.
That it doesn't have Michael Myers impregnating his niece?
That you have grown to like Busta Rhymes in Halloween Resurrection.
I mean, Michael Myers ain't no soundbite.
No,
Patrick.
I've heard that.
This is what you have to understand that. He's a killer shark in baggy ass overalls. He will get you.
Oh, God. All right, my next one for you is a movie I know you like a whole lot, and you get to talk about it.
If you say It Follows, I'm going to punch you through the Skype.
Come on now. You get to talk about it in the 80s horror documentary In Search of Darkness. Silver Bullet.
Oh my God, I love Silver Bullet. Yes,
I know.
Yes. Oh boy, what would I pair with Silver Bullet? Do I go with the Corey theme? Do I go with, oh my God, I can't even believe I'm totally blanking on his name. Everett McGill. Do I go with Gary Busey? There's so many opportunities here. Do I do werewolves? Do I do Stephen King? Oh goodness. Oh, so many choices. Shoot. Part of me wants to be a jerk and just be like Howling 2 because it's werewolves and it's the same year and haha. But no, I don't want to subject anybody to Howling 2. I will bear that cross for all of you. I think for me, I think I'm going to go. Oh God, I don't know why this is so hard for me. Because I don't want to just be like basic and just pick what I feel like is like obvious.
Right.
You know what I think would actually pair pretty well with it is I think It Chapter 1.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like It Chapter 1 really gets, and this isn't the miniseries. Actually, I even think the miniseries is probably for me, what I love about Stephen King movies is the small town vibe where every character is part of this world. They're not just extras. These people who are like in this world. And I think you get a good, I do think It Chapter 1 does it better than the miniseries. And I like kids, in peril, not in real life, but in movies, like kids sort of overcoming dangerous situations and dealing with fear. And I also do like good kid performances, which I do think It Chapter 1 has. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Stephen King route and go It Chapter 1 with it.
I think that would pair really well because, again, both have that sort of nostalgia thing. That's the thing I like about Silver Bullet so much is that I always talk about it as a cross between To Kill a Mockingbird and a werewolf movie.
No, totally. I feel like, honestly, I feel like Tarker's Mills is like a place like I know and like I've been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've been there. So, I mean, maybe it's like all the crazy drugs or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Kids don't do drugs. But there's something that I love about the way King captures small town Americana, especially on the East Coast, where I cannot get enough of that. And I think It Chapter 1 does that so beautifully as well. So yeah, that's gonna be my vote to go with Silver Bullet. It seems like obvious to go with a werewolf movie, but I'm gonna go with the Stephen King vibe.
It's a good. That's a solid double feature.
Thank you. I try to do my best. All right, let me see what I'm trying to think of. Like, do I give you something new or something old? I know, I'm trying to think of things that like don't feel like, I don't know, so obvious.
Okay.
All right, you know what? Because I know you're a big fan. We'll just stay on the Barbara Crampton train. Chopping Mall.
Chopping Mall, aka Killbots. Yeah, I would pair that with Hide and Go Shriek, which is the movie I couldn't think of when we recorded our members exclusive commentary for Chopping Mall. If you're not a member of the Corpse Club, you haven't heard our amazing Chopping Mall commentary filled with pretend facts.
All of this kind of insight. You get all of this and more.
Yeah, and I couldn't think of the title of a movie where a bunch of characters stay in a department store overnight and are killed off, despite the fact that I own it. And the movie is Hide and Go Shriek, from the late 80s, which it doesn't feature any killbots. It does feature, it's more of a slasher movie, but same kind of a basic premise, although I think they're just in like a furniture store. They're not inside an entire shopping mall. It is sadly lacking in Barbara Crampton, much like the rest of my life, but what it lacks in Barbara Crampton, it makes up for in batshit nuttery, and it's a kooky movie that's not as much fun as Chopping Mall and not quite as peppy, because Chopping Mall is like a brisk 75 minutes, but I think the two would go together well.
Nice. I have to admit that I've actually never seen Hide and Go Shriek.
On the one hand, you're missing out. On the other hand, you're fine.
Okay. I feel like I have to like turn in my card or something maybe? Do I get points dinged for that? Okay.
I don't think so. That's not one that is like essential viewing, you know.
Okay. Well, I don't want to disappoint people out there.
The only person you're disappointing is the director of Hide and Go Shriek, who's listening right now, crying a single tear.
I'm going to get an angry email now. So
Perhaps.
Thanks. Fantastic.
From all those shriek heads. All right. Your next title is... Let's go vampire route and do From Dusk Till Dawn.
Ooh. All right. I mean... First of all, I love From Dusk Till Dawn. So part of me is like, do I do Robert Rodriguez and do The Faculty with it? Because that movie kicks so much ass still. They both do. But I feel like for me, no, you know what? I think I'm going to stick with The Faculty. Because initially I was thinking, oh, badass vampires, like, do I go Near Dark? But I feel like tonally those movies are very different. Unless you watch Near Dark first and then end on From Dusk Till Dawn. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because they're so different in their purpose.
You could do that. If you want to switch the order, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, so I think, you know what, skip The Faculty, because there's other good movies that'll go with The Faculty. But I do think, I think if you start with Near Dark and then go into From Dusk Till Dawn, like you get some pretty nasty, savage, badass, cool stuff in that double feature. And you know, it's Catherine Bigelow, so obviously I have to represent my girl. But yeah, I feel like From Dusk Till Dawn is like one of those movies like nobody talks about it, and then all of a sudden there's it'll be like 2 weeks and everybody's talking about From Dusk Till Dawn, and then it kind of disappears again for a while. And then all of a sudden it's like it's out there again. I don't know how to explain it, but every once in a while, like the Salma Hayek, like of her dancing and putting her foot in Quentin's mouth, like That's shocking that he would want a foot in his mouth. Shocking.
So unlike him.
So it's just so out of character. But it's like that GIF will like show up on Twitter, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh my God, From Dusk Till Dawn," and I was like, "Yes." But I love From Dusk Till Dawn, and I love Near Dark. So I feel like those two would be really fun together.
That's a good vampire double bill, and I totally agree that From Dusk Till Dawn should go second on that.
You just want to end on that. Just, it's like the adrenaline. It's all about like the pacing. Like Near Dark for me is sort of like this beautifully, like sort of like a tonal poem in a way where it's just like, it's kind of capturing like the essence of what this vampire's like isolation is. And, you've got that really crazy, awesome synth score and like all that kind of stuff and gnarly performances. But like From Dusk Till Dawn is just like badass, all out, like battle to the death.
Right.
And Sex Machine. So, that was a movie that actually was like, is Tom Savini hot? I was like, I don't know. This is weird.
It's made you question everything you know.
I'm like, I was like a 17-year-old girl going like, do I have a crush on like this 45-year-old man? I don't know what's happening. I was like, do I have daddy issues? I don't know. I was like, I didn't think I did. Now I do. So
that's what this episode is all. Once again, we're back to Horror BFF therapy.
Yes. Tune in next week while we work out our other issues and childhood traumas. So I have a fun challenge for you.
All right.
I'm going to give you this movie, but you cannot do any of the other movies in its franchise.
That's fair.
So I'm going to give you Texas Chainsaw 2.
All right.
But you can't pair it with any other Texas Chainsaw movie.
No, that's fine. I wouldn't dare. I am once again going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to pair it with House of a Thousand Corpses, which owes most of its aesthetic to Texas Chainsaw 2, as well as some of its plotting, and certainly the second half when it turns into sort of a subterranean nightmare. That's right out of Texas Chainsaw 2.
And it's Bill Moseley-ness.
And it's Bill Moseley-ness. The premise is sort of Texas Chainsaw 1, and then it turns into Texas Chainsaw 2. Yeah, when I watched, Erica and I watched it a week ago, maybe it was on cable, and she was just like, does Rob Zombie, admit that he just took everything from Texas Chainsaw 2? Because she had seen that recently for the first time. I said, I don't know if he, denies it, but I don't know that he admits it.
You just buried the lead. Your wife, who you've been married to for 15 years now?
15 years.
Literally just saw Texas Chainsaw 2?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And you stayed married.
Yes, well, we were waiting for our 15th anniversary.
Oh, okay. We wanted to really
make it special. I made her wait 15 years before we could watch it together. And she would ask every year 13 now? And I would say, no, honey, 2 more years.
She's a keeper, I'll tell you what.
Boy, you're telling me. She is for sure. So, yeah, having just seen that, it was kind of fresh on her brain. So as we rewatched House of a Thousand Corpses, which we've seen a bunch of times, she was like, oh, this is so reminiscent of a lot of what Tobe Hooper does, which maybe speaks to why I respond so well to Rob Zombie movies. But they have a lot in common aesthetically and otherwise. So those two movies would go well together.
Yes, they get picked on a lot by fans, too. So
that's true.
Yes. Take that, fans.
All right, I'll give you one more.
All right.
One more. Let's see. How about going back to Barbara Crampton? How about From Beyond?
Oh. I feel like I would pair. See, I don't know if that's fair because I think they're the same year.
That's okay.
They are. But I think I would do it different. I would have to switch the order also again.
That's fine.
But I think I would have to do The Fly with From Beyond because it's sort of this science gone amok.
Mad scientist double feature.
Yes.
Yeah.
And gooey, oozy effects.
Yeah.
But I think From Beyond is obviously the far more outlandish sort of version of that. Sort of those tropes, with the little penis thingy happening on the forehead. It's my favorite part. It's every girl's favorite part. So yeah, I think I would have to pair that with The Fly, because The Fly, you're like, oh my God, at the end you're wrecked and you're emotionally drained and you're like, all right, take me away from beyond. And Stuart Gordon's like, I've got this.
Yeah.
And then just takes you on this crazy hypercolors sort of maddening descent into crazy weird science stuff. And I don't know that Barbara Crampton's ever looked hotter than she does in From Beyond. And she is a lovely, gorgeous woman now. But boy, From Beyond, there's some stuff. There's some stuff in that movie.
For me, that's like choosing a favorite child.
Yes.
And I couldn't possibly pinpoint exactly whatever her latest Instagram post is probably the hottest she's ever looked. But I will agree with you that she looks terrific in From Beyond and gives a really great performance that's very different from anything else she's done.
That's also why I like From Beyond, is because it is such a different role from her. Because especially after you have sort of these expectations after Reanimator, and I think From Beyond, she kind of obliterates those. And I think it's a performance I don't think gets talked about enough that she's done. And she's done some amazing stuff, especially as of late, that I've really, really enjoyed. Like there's this movie called Replace that just came out a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Which was written by Richard Stanley and has, I think, William Forsythe's daughter in it and stuff. And she's so good in that. And she's doing fantastic work these days. But I think From Beyond is one of my very favorites from her. I think there's some really good stuff to that performance. Not that any of her performances I've ever been like, oh, like I've never thought that. But like, I just think there's something really special about what she does in From Beyond. Agreed.
It is top 5 B cramps for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, God. So now I have to figure out something good to end on for you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. I mean, I'm going to lob you up a softball.
Okay.
And see how this goes. What are you going to pair with Tales of Halloween?
Tales of Halloween. Let's see. I'm going to avoid doing another anthology, and I'm going to pair it with a made-for-TV movie from 1985 called The Midnight Hour, which features, among other people, Dee Dee Pfeiffer.
Yay!
Sherry Belafonte, LeVar Burton, Peter DeLuise, Kevin McCarthy, Dick Van Patten. I'm looking at the IMDb page right now. Takes place on Halloween night and seems to have been made in the wake of the success of Thriller, where it was like, hey, the video for Thriller was very popular. What if we just turned that into a feature-length film? The music rights make it impossible to release on physical media, I believe, so you can really only watch it on YouTube. Not that I'm advocating for such a thing, but if you have never seen it, it's a great Halloween viewing. And again, gets the vibe of the holiday right, which I think I compare it with Trick or Treat, which is another great Halloween anthology and gets the holiday right, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to go with The Midnight Hour.
I like it. And I've never seen it. So now I'm going to have to go over to YouTube like a jerk, but it sucks that I want to watch things legitimately, and there are just certain things you can't, and it really frustrates me.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be that person, because I would gladly, if this existed on some format, I would give it a couple dollars, but I can't.
Right.
So you're forcing my hand, people.
Yeah.
But interesting. I just actually made a note of it. So thank you for giving me something to watch this October.
I think you will really like it. And Sherry Belafonte is very hot in it.
Very nice. We're ending with all the hot ladies of
That's
horror.
right. That's right. The HLs of H. Well, this was super fun. Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, I know we keep talking like, oh, we're going to do our underworld stuff, but,
I think I joked to you in a text, and this is actually true. By the time we do Underworld, I'm going to have to rewatch all those goddamn movies because I do not remember them. And I watched at least 4 of them. 4 of the 5 I've watched. I haven't watched the 5th one yet, but I seriously think I'm going to have to rewatch them because I won't remember them. And I'm not looking forward to that.
Oh, well, that's your loss, I guess. You should have written notes. Do what I do. Yeah. I'm an old lady now who has to take notes when I watch stuff. So, it's weird, but it helps.
Yeah, well, you're a professional.
I'm something, that's for sure.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Happy October. Happy Halloween. Make sure you go to corpseclub.com and check out how you can become a member of the Corpse Club, unlock bonus content like our aforementioned chopping mall commentary, and so much more. Go to dailydead.com every day for up-to-date horror news and amazing features that Heather's working on, and so is the rest of the team over at Daily Dead. Thank you to Brian for engineering us and making us sound decent at best. And thank you guys all for spending an hour with us. Until next time, as the decoration at Target says, stay scary.